Hello, fellow soul warrior. James Hands here from Awaken Therapy. I wanted to talk with you today about our journey out of soul state and into the earth. If you haven't worked out by now, you can probably tell that I'm more your holistic psychologist, and my interest and passion and curiosity and exploration of the spiritual aspects of life have been as much as the psychological and the therapeutic, and my passion and love for doing deep shadow work with people. But they do go together, and a lot of what I'm writing about now, the book I'm writing, the working title is From Trauma Survivor to Soul Warrior, and my focus is really on bridging that gap between the psychological and the spiritual, because there's sort of an invisible ceiling, like a glass ceiling, that I find that people hit up against in their healing work. Let's say it's, childhood abuse or childhood neglect or some very difficult, deep trauma like that. And I find that as people heal through that, there's lots of stuff we can do down in the roots and in the raw material of it. There's lots we can do on the trunk level of our rational understanding and working in the mind and the hypnotherapy. But if people don't have any spiritual life happening, and I doubt that that's you. If you're watching this, I'd imagine you're well on the way of a deep, rich spiritual journey, maybe your whole life since you were a little child. But some people haven't even started on that journey, and what happens is they'll hit a ceiling where the identity is still too landlocked or earthbound. The identity is locked in the human, which is just the body, brain, personality stuff, which is amazing and it's great, and here we are having this lifetime as James or whoever, and that's all real enough. But if we don't have anything to kind of break us beyond that identity, well, we're kind of stuck in survivor, and we might heal very well to that. We're certainly not in victim mode anymore. We can heal well into survivor mode. But what I've noticed is when people can expand their mind, expand their consciousness just that bit more, and break out into soul state, what's happening is we're remembering who we are beyond time and space, beyond body, brain, personality, beyond the human. We're remembering that, I'm a beloved child of the divine, I'm an eternal soul, I'm a love being that's so much more than just this aspect of soul that we bring with us, if you like, into the lifetime. We're a portion of that soul energy having our human incarnation. So when there's that awareness, and that's just such a cool thing to explore, isn't it, in so many ways, and I'll look at different ways of exploring that in the book. You've probably explored it in many ways, from near-death experiences to past life regression to between lives spiritual regression, that kind of work, magic mushrooms, meditation, deep meditation, nature work, breath work. There's so many ways. Of course, studying, reading, traditions, prayer, worship, devotional practice, all these different ways that we can shift our consciousness into the greater reality of things. I haven't done mushrooms, by the way. I fess up. I wish I had. In that expansion of consciousness, then we have leverage. We've got access to all these deeper resources of our being. And from here, we can really start to make sense of what we've been through. So in the healing journey, I'm using the metaphor of the tree in the book, and then that is getting into the branches and beyond the canopy. And that is where we can really start to see reasons for what we've been through. Start to understand the gifts that have come out of these incredible challenges, these ordeals that we've been through. There's a whole lot of amazing work around pre-life planning, and I'm going to be interviewing Robert Schwartz, who's written a few books on this in a couple of weeks. Amazing stuff. I'm very excited to share that with you. But the key point I wanted to take you to today was that as this soul warrior because it takes so much courage, it takes a lot of courage to take on a human incarnation. it's a difficult planet. It's a difficult place to incarnate. It's not an easy place. It's a very dense energy, very polarized energy, as you know. There's incredible extremes here of beauty and ugliness and light and dark and good and evil, if you like. Incredible, duality on this planet. So, dear soul warrior, you are a warrior. Just turning up, you're a warrior. There's enormous strength there. We forget that when we're born into the horrors of it all and the stresses and the challenges and the overwhelm of it all. But it's the reality. Underneath all that, trauma victim survivor is an amazing, powerful being to elect to take on the life you've taken on. Go you. But this is the journey, isn't it? We choose, we actually plan, we design. It's very intentional, it's very thoroughly prepared. We set it up, and there are some variables. There's free will down here. Not everything goes quite to plan, and there's always a lot of adjusting that happens. But we're basically diving into a lifetime. And there's what they tend to call, the veil of amnesia. So as the soul passes through, it's a portion of the soul. We don't bring all our soul energy, but we bring a portion of the soul energy, on average about 60% or so. We'll bring that into the life, but we go through this veil of amnesia, so we forget. The more evolved the soul, the more developed the soul, the less forgetting there is, the more they are sort of there in their presence, in their soulful presence, even as a baby. And that's why people often say, wow, they're an old soul. You can feel that presence. But to whatever degree, we do forget. It's like we have to remember each time. Even Jesus had to remember his authority, his nature, his real beingness as the creator son of this universe. Even he had to remember that. And so when we land, it's pretty rugged because we've forgotten who we are. We've forgotten where we've come from. Not completely, it's there in the back of the mind. And that's what nudges us into remembering. But it's hard. It's like the plunge pool of incarnation. It's a very cold, icy cold plunge pool, that we find ourselves coming into. In the womb, that can be a lovely warm place. It can be also a terrible dark place. A lot of therapy can be womb work. So the plunge pool starts at conception, not just at birth. And then at birth, depending on what we've taken on, I do work with people who were tortured as babies, that dark. So, whatever the plunge pool you've come into, there is always going to be this very rugged phase of finding our feet, if you like, saying to heal out of that. And there's no guarantee. It takes a lot of courage to do the healing work. It takes a lot of courage to come into what needs healing. That takes a lot of courage to heal through it. Go you, mighty soul warrior. And it's very exciting when we heal to the point of starting to reconnect to soul in a very active way and starting to make sense of the plunge pool. But this is the process. This is the metaphysics of it. It's that involution, evolution journey. I'm very excited to be writing this book. It's a process. It'll be published about September next year. But I'll keep sharing these things with you because this is my joy, this is my passion, and I know there's a need out there. I know people are looking for a more spiritual psychology to help in the healing journey because so many people, like you, I suspect, have got to this point where maybe they're feeling that ceiling. They've maxed out conventional psychology. They've maxed out a lot of the more worldly based modalities. Think kind of mainstream medicine now. It's maxed out. We've got to go naturopath. We've got to go alternative. We've got to go, okay, well, that's great. Thank you very much. But what do I need beyond that? And that's my role to serve in any way I can. Please like, share, follow. Any questions, reach out. That helps me to know what is of use to you. And best wishes on your journey, soul warrior.